Wallace Nenagh to lay a wreath at the monument in honour of her relative who died, Patrick Starr. That's lovely. Okay. Now Patrick Starr, as was every one of them are interesting, but Patrick Starr was from Nenagh, and Patrick Starr was a half-twin himself, and he had a brother Joe, and poor old Joe, what actually happened, there was a curfew in Nenagh, it was a garrison town, and how they became involved at all with the volunteers was during the curfew they went out on the town when they shouldn't, nobody should be on the scene. They were actually beaten up by the military, and the result was that they made up their mind this was not good enough. So when they went home they decided they were joining the volunteers. But when they went for it, there were two fraternal twins, not identical. Joe was much bigger than Pat. Pat was much smaller, in fact he was very small, and he was refused. They took Joe, who was a half-twin as I said, and Pat was refused, and you can imagine the bit of jealousy between twins, my God. So Pat wasn't willing to take no for an answer. So that's what brought him. He knew of the Connells down in Limerick, so he actually walked all the way from Nenagh and joined the Mid-Limerick Brigade. He was taken on. Now they told him in Nenagh he was too young to come back a year later or something, and they might take him on, but at the time, now that's how. Now when he came to Limerick, he took on a different name. He changed his name in case his name would go against him in the sense of having been refused with another brigade. And that's why when he died down here in Sraharla, he wasn't identified for virtually 6 months. He was taken away and he was brought up to Fermoy, in actual fact, the church there, and they cut out a little square on the top of the coffin and put a glass on top to know would anybody come eventually and hopefully recognise him. Because the men that he actually died with didn't know exactly, they were working on a pseudonym which he was using all the time. And his own family didn't eventually know, or you'd think they would reckon, but he wouldn't, normally when he was out with the flying column and so on, he wouldn't return except once every 3 months. So it was only after 3 months had elapsed that his own family in Nenagh began to wonder, why isn't he coming back? And the search began, and that's how he, if you like, was recognised in the end. But that was poor Paddy Starr, and from Nenagh, and all the other places. So it's one of the places, like I suppose, where Tipperary men come to play with Limerick men or vice versa, and that's exactly how it happened here. So you had a whole mixture. But all of that, as I said, was designed by Donnacha Hannigan, and he set up these flying columns of men who were willing to dedicate their life, if you like, travelling the country for the cause.